If there's two things I've failed in life, it's one, making a comic book, and two, getting fit. So that's what I'm going to do. In the next 100 days, I'm going to try and achieve both of those things and possibly share some of the things or some of the ways I'm going to achieve those things. So yeah, how I'm going to share about things that I haven't done, well, that's quite the mystery. Hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another episode of the Skeshbook podcast. Today, we are going to talk about 100 days of making comics, how I'm making my comic project, and share some things on how you can sort of do your own big project. So let's jump into the episode. So here's what I'm doing. I'm making my own comic book in 100 days. It consists of 10 chapters based on 10 prompts like this. See, this is the one. This is the prompt list. And then each chapter is going to be approximately 10 to 15 pages long. So the plan is to make a 150-page comic in the next 100 days. Inked, colored, penciled, word bubbled, finished book, launch it on Kickstarter, and at least sell it to 10 people. Aiming small so that I can win big, hopefully. That is the idea. So I've created myself this little prompt list called In Spirit. I've always wanted to sort of create a comic book on stories that inspire me. So I took on 10 prompts that would initiate stories that I want to be told through forms of comics and eventually take those comics and sort of turn them into a comic book, right? So that is this prompt list. Plus also, I told you, right, two of the things I've struggled before is one, making a comic, and two, getting fit. So I've also given myself these 5 habits that I want to do for the next 100 days, which is 1, sleep early, 2, eat a proper diet according to my calories, and 3, work out 3 to 4 times a week, then walk 10,000 steps, and 5 is meditate and journal. These are habits that I've already been doing for the past couple of years on and off, but I've never done them fairly consistently. I have done them fairly consistently for like mini bouts and periods, but I want to do them consistently, all of them pretty much at the same time. And also I thought it'll be like a nice reset because I've not been doing some of these things such as sleeping early, which has been the bane of my existence. You watch Netflix at night and yeah, that's not the greatest thing. The idea is one, right? Get healthy. No. So the idea is this. The whole point of this comic book, I'll sort of talk about how I'm sort of making this whole thing, but the idea is this. The whole point of this In Spirit comic, right? In spirit. Instead of inspiring, it's in spirit, to short stories and comics that would move your spirit and make you do stuff, right? I just don't want to sort of draw and talk about like inspiring stories and tales. I want to do things that I've not been able to achieve myself in the past. So I want to sort of do the thing and then talk about doing the thing rather than just talk about doing the thing and not doing the thing, right? So that's the idea right here. And, so how am I doing this thing? So I'm using 100 days of sketching. How am I even doing this thing, right? So here's how I'm doing it. 100 days of sketching. How does the challenge work? You work on something for 6 minutes a day for 100 days. Little efforts, little bouts of effort consistently over a long period of time will yield extraordinary success. That is a belief that I've seen happen a couple of times in my past, and I really hope it happens this time too. So that means I want to work on my comic for 6 minutes or minimum a day, every single day for 100 days. And hopefully finish the comic. But here's the problem, right? There's no problem with the method. But here's the thing. Here's the tough part. Sticking with this thing is the hardest part. Sticking with anything for 100 days is the hardest part. And I've tried to do this in the past. And a lot of you have seen the 100 Days of Making Comics series on my YouTube channel. I have failed miserably trying to do this thing and it did not turn out well, right? I quit on day 70 and I badly made like 5 pages because I took on something that was too big and too massive, and I did not plan that thing through. I was looking at people who had quote unquote overnight successes and just didn't realize that their overnight was probably 10 years long. And I did not realize it back then, but I get it right now, right? I really get it right now because I've seen some of the successes that I had in terms of what I did and realized good things take a long time, So Anyways, biggest mistake I did back then when I was making that comic project was taking on something that was massive and big. So not doing that this time. That's why I took 10 short stories that I have sort of heard of, I like, and I know that I can sort of do it. But at the same time, it is a challenge. It's not easy for me, right? To sit down, to conquer my boredom and my distraction and my shiny object syndrome, getting distracted by things. To conquer that and do this is indeed a task for me. It's a big mountain that I need to climb. Plus, I also want to launch it on Kickstarter and sell this comic book to 10 people. Hopefully 5,000 plus people. That is my larger goal, but minimum 10 people. I can sell it to 10 people, you know. Again, I have to be humble here. I've not sold a comic book before. So I know that I can sell to 10 people, because if it means me calling up people and like a sales guy and saying, hey, you want to buy my comic? This is why you want to probably buy it. You know, it's got this, and this. And I don't know, if it comes down to that, I'll probably do that, because, you know, I'll do that. But hopefully, you know, make the Kickstarter in such a way that hopefully, you know, Go Comic reaches to like 5,000 or more people. And that is the idea, right? So this is what I'm doing. The strategy, I'm making a comic book in 100 days. I'm working on the same project, one project, trying to conquer my problems with distraction by taking on one thing for 100 days and focusing on it and getting it done. And the strategy is work on it for a minimum of 6 minutes a day or more every single day. Now, thankfully, I've sort of finished the pencils for the first chapter. It's almost done. It's just day 4 right now as we sort of speak. It's day 4, and we have completed the pencils for the first chapter, 14 pages in. And I'm going to start inking it from today. So that's the beauty part. That's the beautiful part. And do my best, actually, not just skim through this time, because sometimes you have the tendency to sort of get through things. But I just don't want to get through this challenge. I just want to put in the effort to be better. Put in the effort to be, you know, make something good. You know, put in as much effort as I can. You know what? Yeah, I'll try my best. A part of my brain says you just shouldn't just put in the best effort that you can. You need to put what is required to do things well. That's a bigger mindset to have. But right now, I don't have the capabilities to go there. But so therefore, I'm just going to stick with. I'm going to do the best that I can at this point in time. So that is the deal. I didn't sort of plan this podcast too much. I just want to sort of talk about this whole thing. I told you why I'm doing this. I failed making. Now, here's the thing. This is the biggest part that I want to address. This is the third part of this podcast. The first part is, prompt list. Second is the strategy. And the third one is this. Why am I doing this project? Now, this is the part where it gets personal. And you may probably want to not listen to this. Or some of you want to listen to this. I don't know. I really don't know. This podcast is probably for myself. Why am I doing this project? Why am I making 100 days of making comics and making this comic book? Well, ever since I can remember as a kid, I've always liked cartoons and the stories that are being told to it. Not just cartoons, I like stories. The medium through which those stories are told, it's cartoons. I really like cartoons and animation and anime and animated films. And as long as I can remember, I've tried to sort of achieve that goal of learning to draw well and making films at all times. I've always been trying to aim at that goal in some way, shape, or the other. First, I was just trying to draw. Then I was trying to make videos. Then I was trying to make videos about drawing. Then I tried to make little animations and stories here and there to little success. And over time, I increased my ability and skills to draw. Then I practiced the art of script writing, video editing, storytelling through the videos that I made on YouTube. And, it was all nice. It was all nice. But at the same time, it wasn't complete to some extent, because I knew, as Steven Pressfield would say, sort of put it in his book, Turning Pro, right? He has this concept called shadow careers. Shadow careers are basically careers that you want to get to, but you're sort of too scared to completely tackle it. So therefore, you just take on careers that are metaphorically similar to it. And, There's an upside to that, downside to that. Upside is, you have to be aware of it, and you have to sort of take it and know that you're there to learn and get it done and go to the thing. But at the same time, if you just don't do the thing that you've always been wanting to do for a long period of time, there is this weird thing. There's this weird thing. I don't know what to call it. Or maybe it's just something that you need to put it out and just focus and start, not get distracted and do the thing. That is probably the answer too. I'm not sure which one is which, but yes. But sometimes you just need to follow it. And that's what I did last year. I made the first animated short film that I made, right? It's the Starfish story. And the second one, we made another one, which by myself. It's very hard, don't stop, right? And I really like those things. I don't enjoy the process so much, I'll tell you that. And it's very, very weird. If you don't enjoy the process so much, you're not going to stick with it for a long period of time. That's why I'm trying to make the process in such a way that I can actually enjoy it. And lately, the way I've been thinking is, okay, comics is sort of like in the middle ground. I like making videos, I like talking about stuff, I like podcasts, I like making blogs, and I like doing all these things, but making comics, not so much. But lately, I have found that if I put in effort into getting better at something, I'm starting to enjoy that thing, actually. And it seems like enjoyment is actually a choice rather than something that comes to you, which is a weird concept. Right? Maybe not a lot of people might agree with me, and that is fine, but this is my opinion, right? If you put an effort into something, I think you will start to enjoy it. And yeah, I remember a story by Lady Gaga where she talks about how she never enjoyed music as a kid, but her parents forced her to play the piano. But slowly over time, she started to like it and then got better at it. And then she started to go into that field, right? I think there's something to that thing. Maybe we need to make a podcast on that completely. But part of my philosophy is this. It's not about making the right decision. It's about making the decision right. That means you don't pick the right things. You just pick a thing and make it right. And same goes with this. I've started to enjoy making comics, actually. It's just I'm already liking. It's just that you shouldn't push too hard at the start or push too easy at the start. You got to keep it in that nice bliss point. And by putting in effort, but it's not too hard, you just keep putting in effort, then you start to enjoy it. And a couple of years down the line, you'll be like, okay, I need to go all in. I need to go even more in this. And I think that's how you sort of start to like the work that you do and find happiness to some extent in the work that you do, is by sticking with it, trying to be better, and then just doing those two things for a long period of time. So yeah, why am I making this thing? Because I love stories, I love movies, and I want to make these short stories in such a way then I can outsource the animation aspects of things. I won't outsource it. It's like I'll be the director on the film, but I just want to make the comic in such a way that it's easily transferable to a film format, because that is a format that I absolutely love. And my goal is to make these short stories eventually down into a short film, and then also down the line, hopefully by the end of next year. I don't talk about these larger goals that I have, because sometimes you talk about it and you get the cheap dopamine hit, and then you don't achieve them. Maybe I'll not talk about this. I have this goal that I want to achieve by the end of next year, but we'll see, right? I don't want to talk about it. It's a big goal. It's a massive goal. If I do achieve it, I'll definitely be documenting on the podcast and on the YouTubes. So I want to make films. And an easier way to get that thing done, and animation is hard, an easier way to get that thing done is by actually making comics. So therefore I'm making comics so that I can make films, and then talk about making comics and films, which is really nice. I like blogging. I like talking about these things on the internet, folks. That is it. That is the idea right here. 100 days of making comics, 100 days of sketching. I'll probably make a podcast on the next one about tips and tricks that we can possibly, not just you and I can possibly use in order to make this thing a reality. How can we stick with stuff? And how can one stick with things, get things done, and see it through, and make those things a successful project? by whatever metrics you use to measure success. So this podcast was a random one. That is it for this week. I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, bye-bye.
Grinding, money on my mind, and I'm headed to the top. I won't stop until I find it. Write my name in diamonds, but all these lights are blinding. I wonder, is it worth it? Feel like I'm losing my mind, yeah.